while they fix that. So I run JamesList, which we founded 3 years ago, to provide a marketplace for the most amazing stuff that's out there. And we did that in the depths of the Lehman crash. We were actually sitting here in London, my co-founder and I, and talking about what all this chaos would mean to our desire for great things like watches, cars, jets, and yachts. And we were banding about the idea that really what would grow out of this isn't a reduction in our desire for stuff, but a new deal mentality and a willingness to really look cross borders and cross categories and to try to do the best possible deals that you can do to get a hold of great stuff. And I think that's really the basis of James, now that I've got this. So, no? Yes. This is the kind of stuff we do all day. The test drives are fun. It's jets, yachts, cars, watches, and we added real estate about a year ago. Motorcycles, anything you can think of that's expensive, global, comparable, and loads of fun. I get asked this a lot, so I figured I'd just get rid of this off the bat. Who is James? My name's not James, it's Noam. My co-founder's name isn't James. James is more of an idea. So everybody knows somebody who always wears the right watch, has the right cut of suit, has a great looking girlfriend, and he's the guy that at least I go to find out what I should get. So it's a little bit of taking this James, putting him together with someone like me who's, that's me. So adding really great technology, the idea of the fact that wonderful technology, basic ideas around bringing transparency, value, and trust, which the internet does, to a category that really isn't used to those kind of values, that's an interesting play. And looking at an addressable market that's truly global. So we're looking at around the 10 million or so high net worth individuals, 100,000 or so ultra high net worth individuals, people that really are in the market from $5,000 Rolexes to $50 million Gulfstreams. And we're 3 years in. It's been a really interesting time. We've had some really great support from our initial angels, Oleg Chelchkov, Marco, Lars Heinrichs, and then last year, Piton Capital, Andrew Bachman, and Greg Lockwood, who really all invested in this vision that even if we're working on the really, really high end of things, if we apply the same kind of internet thinking, we should be able to build something really interesting and really global. And so we have dealers in 44 different countries. We do around 1 million visits a month. We introduce around 6,000 buyers and sellers for immediate inquiry of 60, 70,000 euros per inquiry. And we have about 7 or 8 billion euros worth of goods listed for sale on JamesList from around 1,200 to 1,300 at this point, professional dealers from all around the world. And it's been a really interesting couple of years. We've learned some stuff, and I wanted to talk a few minutes about that. So what kind of values apply in a marketplace like this? And the first is transparency. So what's driving people to James and what's driving our growth is really providing transparency on markets that really otherwise aren't. This is a Bugatti Veyron. It's a very, very, very expensive car. There aren't that many of these for sale in London, for example. So if you're in the market, how do you know what you should be paying? A normal car marketplace might have 2 or 3. We have 44 of these for sale from all over the place. So you really, really know what you should be paying. And if you're in the market, it's really not an issue to either fly to Florida or send somebody over there and to arrange for shipping and customs and just to bring it back. It's really, really worth it. So bringing that kind of normal internet transparency to a market that otherwise doesn't have it. Everybody's touched on this. You touched on this just a few minutes ago, but trust is just incredibly important, and especially as we move into the sector that we deal with. So the first way for us to address that was really only working with professional dealers. So we work with people who know how to buy and sell this stuff, and they are the only ones who list for sale on JamesList. And that was a great way to build a foundation of inventory on JamesList and to make sure that we don't have issues with buyers getting scammed or gray market stuff or what have you. And it provided a great foundation for growth for the first couple of years because we really didn't have to worry about lots of issues around where this stuff came from because people who were listing it really knew what they were doing. We've encountered lots of issues around trust, though, that really moved the other way. So our sellers have had trouble identifying whether buyers are trustworthy. And I think in this particular sector, it's a real issue. And so we've been really wrestling with what do we do to provide trust between buyer and seller. Yesterday, actually, we launched a big revamp of how we do business. So up until now, we've really just been a normal classified marketplace where professional dealers are paying us a monthly fee to list on the site, and buyers can then contact them, and we just do lead generation, basically. But yesterday, we introduced this green button up here, which is make an offer through JamesList. And because over the past 2.5 years, we've learned lots about how you do secure transactions across borders and across the globe, we're now going to be providing those services to buyers. So by clicking this button, we broker the transaction, we get involved, and we help wherever we need to help with, whether it's negotiating the price, securing shipping, customs, and we're taking a 7% fee from the buyer. And in markets, for people that are used to buying art at auction or wines, you're used to paying buyer's premiums. It's not a ridiculous idea. For those of you that have run normal internet marketplaces, it's a ridiculous idea to actually charge the buyer something. But we think that'll work here. And actually, since yesterday, we have 8 serious transactions ongoing from people that have clicked this button, asked us to get involved, and these are for items that are like Ferrari 550 Maranellos and others. So it could be a really interesting stream of revenue for us, and we hope that it'll work out. On the flip side, we've also started requiring login and Facebook Connect from all of our users who actively contact buyers, and we're on the back end pulling in clout scores and other things so that we can really authenticate the buyer and provide, when we contact the dealer, we can provide the dealer with some information around the buyer saying, this is a serious person who you should take seriously. And we think that's a really important step to providing trust to this marketplace. The last part that everybody needs to do online, and especially in our sector, we need to provide real value, right? And real value, it turns out, means different things to different people. In our world, it means primarily 2 different things. It either means a great deal. Now, whether that's on a watch or it's on this is an actual ad on JamesList, it's a great super yacht, it's never been cruised, it's on the block for less than 1/3 of the build cost, and it's priced for urgent, immediate sale. There's a motivated seller behind this. It's great to read these ads. The stuff around jets that comes up in the same way. They're really priced as if they were selling refrigerators at fire sale prices. And this happens a lot of the time. And so JamesList is a great place for people to find great deals. And about half of our audience is really after a great deal. The other half of our audience, though, is after stuff that's really hard to find. This is a Koenigsegg Trevita. For those of you who are Swedish, you know that Trevita means 3 white. There are 3 of these relatively white diamond-shaped, diamond-colored Koenigseggs in the world. If you want one, it's not that easy to get. James is a place where you can find them. And so what we see is, besides that real deal mentality, what's driving our traffic and our business is people that are looking for bespoke, custom, different, classic stuff with a great story. And we're an amazing place to find that because we really bring stuff together from all over the world and across all of these different categories. I thought, before I close up, I'd leave you with some other small things that we've learned as we've built this business. One is that rich people have iPads, and 17-year-old teenagers who are really just porn surfing, amazing stuff don't, so it's a great medium for us to use. And other trends, like we built a Russian language site expecting all the traffic to come from Moscow. It turns out that most of those people that are visiting that site are in London. When we added real estate, within 3 days, it became our most visited category, which was nice because it validated our model where we had people visiting the site for cars and jets and yachts and watches, and within 3 days, they were looking at real estate more than anything else. But it's also a category that really attracts loads and loads of views. We do really well on helis and jets, which I really hadn't expected. Right? So it surfaces underlying trends. It turns out that the heli and jet marketplaces that are out there, because there are, and the way people have been buying in helis and jets are really sectors that have been owned by professional brokers. So if you're interested in a jet, you talk to your broker, he goes and talks to other brokers, and there's all kinds of middlemen involved. And over the past couple of years, people with a lot of money have realized, you know what, I'm a better businessman than my broker is. I want to get involved in this transaction, besides it being fun to look for a new Gulfstream. And so people are actually actively using JamesList to source expensive stuff, especially jets and helis, and so we do well. 80% of our visitors look across different categories. So you come in looking for watches, and then later in the year or later in that particular visit, you're looking at cars. There's lots of seasonality here. People look at boats in the spring, and then they come back and look at other stuff in the fall. And what's most important for me is that 70% of our inquiries are cross borders. So it's people that are in Sweden looking at cars in Germany, Germans looking at classic cars in the US, or what have you. And this holds true for real estate as well, right? And so we really are providing a global marketplace where buyers and sellers aren't going local, they really are going global. And they're looking at that last point at very, very expensive stuff. Does it work? This is an email I got. I just thought it was really nice because it was short. I don't know if all of you can read it. Hi Noam, just a note to let you know that we successfully sold VT's 1948 Rolls on the site. Thanks and hope to see you soon. It's kind of nice to hear, and we hear that every other day. And the make an offer part that I added was a way to get paid from that, because really getting 1,000 euros out of this guy for a car that was worth a couple of $100 grand, that wasn't feeling so good. So we hope that's going to drive things further. In short, what we want to do is to take this guy into our century, into our time, and we're on our way. So thank you.